I saw that referendum doing and the work that went on there was groups of people gathering together to fight for proper recognition of their peoples as entities and themselves as instruments of their own self-determination in the future.
And so it was all voluntary work by the people involved.
We were just the workers. You just went and did it, you know, whatever way you could. And you cleaned and you washed and you done driving, you done the whole bit. Probably the happiest days of our life.
The people at the health service got together and designed a curriculum.
Without the Victorian Aboriginal Health Service, the gym, I don't think would have got up.
We need more people. I don't know much say we've got plenty of educated people, but we need them to go the right way to show people that is sharing and caring and, you know, and reaching out and helping somebody.
You know, in the traditional sense, this is the way that our people have always been, you know, to take responsibility for these fairly major events.
That we have achieved a lot.
Yeah.
You know?
I can't speak enough about health service. I think that everybody should do a course on the history of this service. I think this service has not just been concerned with Aboriginal health, it's been concerned with the politics of living.
Long before the white man came, our people never lived in shame. We took what we needed from the land. Worship Mother Earth, her clouds and her sand. But when the endeavour arrived, we had to struggle to survive. They chained us and cast us aside and waited for a nation to die. So, black brothers, hard times give this song to you. Murdered our people, we are only few.
From the report which came back from Lake Toyas with Hillis, and it was on the, it was devastating, you know, the problems that they had, and there didn't seem to be anyone who cared. And originally we were executive members of the National Council of Aboriginal and Island Women, and the women were very dedicated and very strong. The original place which we had in Gertrude Street was a disused building which derelicts had been using, and it was in appalling condition. And so it was all voluntary work by the people involved. The first nurse, I believe, was Claire Garrison, and I believe Jan Chessels was also involved. And we also had Auntie Edna, who used to always be present in the back with a cup of tea for people and a chat. There were a number of doctors who donated their time. They came in for a meeting, and of course they were told that this isn't going to be a cup of tea and cake, you know, and bye-bye sort of thing. If they were going to become involved, then we wanted commitment from them, and we wanted to see outcomes from their involvement. And you know, as well, they were very supportive. I believe that we have to start being more assertive about our health needs and about our health service delivery, and looking into the future.
They tell me who gonna keep the fire burning, and who gonna keep the culture alive, and who gonna keep the fire burning. We can keep it alive, you and
I worked as a nurse, and at that time we didn't have what we call parkies. We had the men and women that used to frequent the Collingwood, Fitzroy, Carlton area. So I started off in the bio by introducing these people to what I should say a vitamin B injection in the morning at 9 o'clock before everybody started. And then coming from New South Wales, they started to get to know me, and I started to have plenty of contacts with what we call the parkies now. Some of the boys and I took time off and went to different factories and got offcuts, mainly leather, and we started to do programs at the health service for some of these men. We were able to service the elderly and the people. We always had like breakfast or tea, or maybe lunch. When eventually we trained 7 Koori tutors in different areas. Once Gertrude Street went, I think the whole issue of being together, sharing and caring fell apart. We need more people. I don't know much to say, we've got plenty of educated people, but we need them to go the right way to show people that they're sharing and caring and, you know, and reaching out and helping somebody. You know, I frequent the park. I go 3 times a day, you know, a week, sorry, go 3 times a week. If I see somebody they need, I just pick them up and take them back to the house, but it's supposed to be just for drug and alcohol, but, you know, I take them back and feed them and clean them up because it's, you know, once you're down, and I mean, if you can't go and shower or things like that, it builds up, you know, and then you become a parky, then you become a hermit, and nobody wants to know you. They walk the other way instead of saying, look, come home and we'll do this and do that, give you something to eat, and it's just not going anymore, and I hope that eventually some of the young ones will take it up, especially with the parkies.
In 1974, essentially, the health service had been operating for several months, and there was recognition within the health service of a need for a dental service. I had helping me then Maureen Austin, Jan Chessels, Claire Garriso, and they were instrumental in giving me entree to the houses of Koori people in country Victoria, where we very clearly established grave needs with respect to dental health.
They said we had to do 3 areas, Warrnambool, Shepparton, Goulburn Valley and Gippsland. We done Warrnambool and they gave us some money. But I had to go with Bill because I had a nursing certificate number, so I went with Bill, we travelled around. We just started off, we got an urgent call, Bill rang up, we got an urgent call to go to Framingham. But Banjo's brother had a toothache. When we got there the next morning, he said, oh, too late, you fellas are too late. He said, I brought it out last month, the pliers. Biggest tooth I had seen.
Ultimately, we received funding for that service, and I was privileged to be asked to be the first dentist. And ours was the initial dental service around Australia for Aboriginal community-controlled health services. And we also went on to have the first male dental attendants in any dental service throughout Australia. There's just so many people that have been associated in the struggle for the health service to maintain itself against forces within government and forces within the bureaucracy which wish to bring it down or wish to control it in a non-Aboriginal fashion. The initiative was people themselves taking action about their own lives to a degree that certainly doesn't happen in the non-Aboriginal community, and showing their abilities, their innate strength to be able to meet their own needs and not be dependent on handouts from white governments. Their struggle has gone from nothing in terms of resources except the people themselves to one in which they have established organisations of world standard in delivering healthcare, in delivering education, in delivering childcare, and which has changed the policies of Australian governments despite those governments not wanting to change.
The Fitzroy Stars Aboriginal Community Youth Club Gymnasium was founded by my father, Jock Austin, as well as the support he had from his brother, John Longfellow Austin. And that came about when they approached the Victorian Aboriginal Health Service for some support to attain a building and also minimal operating costs. At the time, Dad and Uncle Longfellow basically worked voluntary. The programs there were mainly just social type activities where young people could come in, play a game of pool, play some video machines, and if they like, do some physical activity as well. And 99 George Street is where programs really started to kick off. We commenced a lot of junior football teams, basketball, cricket, volleyball, basically the sports that people approached us to set up. A number of champions come through the facility, and that includes local crews that have won Victorian and Australian titles, right through to Graham Brooks that won a Commonwealth title. Baby Cassius was Commonwealth champion. 1988, when we moved across to the new building, a three-storey building in Gertrude Street at 184. And yeah, things just sort of blossomed from there. Dana Goodson has developed a kickboxing program there, and that includes young people from as young as 6 years old. All the staff at the gym that's ever been employed there always appreciated that the health service was the mother organisation of the gym. But in particular, I'd like to just thank the people that supported my father, Jock Austin, and Longfella. People like Alma Thorpe, Bruce McGuinness, Dr. Roberts. You know, from my recollection, we're there at the forefront supporting and having the arguments with government that we needed this essential facility.
We keep the ball in motion, just like the rolling ocean. All blacks play the game. We keep the forwards busy until their heads get dizzy. All blacks play the game.
In about 1978, I was involved in sort of a nutrition program, and I was asked by the administrator of the health service at that time to run a day, 1 day a week, to attract women and their young children, where a day that they could come to learn about nutrition, give them lunch and some fruit, and to have a GP there. We talked about Yapra, how we would like to have our own childcare centre run by Koori people, and that developed a few years after that. If everyone remembers 136, we had a small kitchen, and in that back room, that was the under fives room, where they had the scales and a length board. Mothers and fathers would bring their children in to get basically weighed. The reason why Niton 2K program originally started off was basically because Koori families would not take their children to see local GPs or go to public hospitals because they felt so uncomfortable. They felt that they were just a number and not a person. They felt that going to a Koori organisation or Koori controlled health service, that they could feel that they are getting treated properly, and they would come back if they needed more treatment. The programs which come out of the Niton 2K are the alternative birthing, survival screening, breast screening, child maternal health nurse, paediatrician, and the Koori Kids Mental Health Network. And these were all developed through the hard work of everyone involved in the Niton 2K women's and children's area. I could remember children 10 to 12 years ago that they all had snotty noses and they had sore ears. Well, today you don't see that now. Gastro was a very bad infection, but that has all cleared up now. You could just basically see the improvement of children, how their health has improved since the under 5 began.
Aboriginal health workers are seen as the key link between a Western medical model and the philosophy of Aboriginal community-controlled health, where they play an important role in the delivery of health services to Koori people. Up until we started the health worker education program, there was no formal training for Aboriginal people to be able to do health worker education. So the people at the health service got together and designed a curriculum and put together the first Aboriginal health workers course for Victoria. It went for about 8 years, and over that time we graduated about 130 health workers to be reasonable, to be responsible, and to be rational. Quite simply, I mean, the words speak for themselves, and we thought if a health worker could follow them 3 R's, they would be quite good at what they were striving to do. One of the more pleasing aspects about Koori College was we had a lot of students from Victoria, and them students from Victoria were picked by their local community. They just didn't pick themselves. They were picked by their community to come down and learn health and go back and work in their community. And that was very important because then they felt like the skills that they were getting were going to be used. The strongest message that I have got from people who set it up and people who have participated is about our concept of health. And quite simply, it isn't a Western concept. Now, if I've got a sore arm, I go to a doctor and they patch it up. That doesn't necessarily mean that I'm a well person. There are other parts of my well-being which need to be tended to as well. My emotional well-being, my spiritual well-being, my cultural well-being, my family, my community, my tribe, and the land, which is important to me as well. And for health, for us, must encompass all them type of things. And when they're all in place and done right, then we can start to consider ourselves a healthy group of people.
I think everybody should give a big hand for the health worker students that graduated today. Okay? Give them a big hand because they really deserved it. It's one of the best programs going in the whole of this country for our Aboriginal people.
Around this time, 1982, Koori Information Centre was set up. 1989, health service workers received award wages. Also in that year, Dr. Ian Anderson became the first Aboriginal graduate of medicine at Melbourne Uni. In 1990 at 3CR, Koori Radio was established.
But the Aboriginal funeral fund, which for the last 10, 15 years has been operated by Auntie Edna Brown in conjunction with other elders, but that had been operating from way back in the 60s.
Mum started out on her own with a couple of people in Victoria. And
Clinton and Avery,
to bury
the
something.
maybe they were up country area or couldn't be buried down here. Because you had to have the money up front to bury.
Before you can be buried. That was the reason Mum remembers going to look at people and they were getting buried as paupers. And that was before the health service started. Then Mum was involved in the elders.
Funeral fund?
Yeah, the funeral service came out of it. Because we used to carry bodies in the back of our vans.
You mean buried in the back of his
station wagon.
And
not many time I've travelled with a body, taking it to the country.
Barbecues at different places. I had a few in my place.
Yeah, they used to run, to bury anybody, they'd run raffles and have a barbecue. And a donation. Mum used to have a book where all the parkies would come in and give what did they give parkies? They used to put their money aside, for the funeral service.
They had Pussycat Lane and
Petticoat Lane and
Teresa. I used to chase them up there to get their money for putting their funeral up the lane.
Petticoat Lane.
Money.
Fruit salad lane. Johnny had a
Fruit salad lane.
Oh yeah. All the funny names there. Lane business.
My full-time involvement in the funeral service began around February of 1990. Up until that time, the Aboriginal funeral service, as it had become known over a couple of years, was the creation of the late Stuart Murray. And Stuart was a pretty special sort of a person. He was a warrior who saw a need to assist Aboriginal people with funerals, as there are a large number of deaths in the Aboriginal community. Around about 1987, Stuart acquired some funds to purchase a new vehicle, and he commenced to upgrade and move the Aboriginal funeral service into another mode. There was the demand being placed on the funeral service was increasing all the time. There were extraordinary numbers of deaths from a whole range of causes. There were times, 10 people would die at once, And, there is a great need, and the great need will always need to be carried out. But at the same time, the great need is to prevent our people from dying. My obligation will have to reach now into trying to save some of these lives which are savable, particularly these kids on the streets with drugs and whatnot, those sorts of problems. And we buried a lot of those kids. And so, although there will always be a need for the Aboriginal funeral service, let's hope not a great need. Let's hope that need drops off, and there is no great need, that the funeral service can just be a little auxiliary function of an organisation that takes on the responsibility when need be, and hopefully they are very old people that we bury and not children.
And Cree, don't you go away. It's written in the land, so many things you have to say. And Cree, don't you ever die. There's so much for us to learn together.
Elma said to me one day at the look, she said, how do you feel about Aboriginal affairs? Are you feeling good about Aboriginal affairs? Yeah, I said, yeah. She said, would you be interested in coming on to the health service? I said, yeah. As a member of the NAC, I said I'd consider it an honour. So I decided to come onto the board, or the community decided that I could be on the board. As well as being founding members of the community, I was also a patient. I was also a client of the Aboriginal Health Service. 3 years ago I got really ill and I died in hospital. They brought me back in the hospital, but as a health service it took me there. If I hadn't gone there with the health service, I wouldn't be around today. I think at one stage 38 years of age was the longevity of a male Aboriginal, an urban male Aboriginal. 38 years of age. Now I'll be 60 this year, and I think I owe 30 of those years, not just the years I've spent around, to the Aboriginal Health Service, or the concept of the Aboriginal Health Service. It's a pity that younger people don't have that experience firsthand. I say a pity because it's really important to them to understand what went before. Because if you've got no history, there's no present, there's no future. I think the health service is a great thing. I still think it's a great thing. I don't think it should become too clinical. It should maintain its grassroots. It should maintain its contact with Aboriginal people. It should be run by Aboriginal people, community Aboriginal people. People come into the community from other places. They have to serve an apprenticeship. They have to put the time in, and they have to earn the trust and the respect of the community, and the community likewise has to earn their trust and respect. You just don't come in one day and expect it to be laid out on a plate in front of you. It just doesn't happen that way.
25 years ago, some elders decided that our people needed a meeting place where we could come and be united. So like animals are drawn to waterholes, the people began to come, gathering together like honey ants, for there was much work to be done. They fought for self-determination, to make decisions on their own, but soon it was more than just a meeting place. For many it was home. Slowly as the years passed by, it began to take on shape. Triumph and tribulation lying in its wake. Changing camps, a new beginning, though many hearts have cried, for the dedicated community people who have left the camp or died. Good times are still celebrated, hard times still take their toll, but the people have kept walking on to newfound waterholes.
But we used to worry about the alcoholics, but now, I can see it worse now because you've got the drug addict. And
yeah, you've got the drugs.
It's a lot heavier, so, and it's a different destroyer of health. And there's a lot more suicides. You never see suicides like you do these days. You never see that sort of thing. you're just lucky to make 30 to live, you know, the men.
I think it needs to be gone into a bit more with the young people. That's why they're dying in their 30, 25.
Well, maybe the message is to the young, if you don't keep living, there's not going to be no Aboriginal community, no Aboriginal people anymore. No. It's the young that we rely on now. You know, it's not my age. It's the youth of today, you know. And the responsibilities they have to one another.
It's very serious. Yeah, young people just going on. Killing themselves. Never lived, really.
Then I suppose we can say, well, is that part of the process of the oppression of our people? So, you know, that would be my thoughts. It's continued, can I say, continued genocide on the Aboriginal people. You've got to keep on surviving to start off with. You know, you can't destroy yourself.
Yeah.
Listen to your elders.
If they get through to, you know, like eradicating, you have to work at that, I think, for the young people. There's too many young people dying.
Hope you agree that the story's right. Join together.